but I thought we did. It says they were live. That's weird. That our YouTube channel at Real Samantha Brown, we're showing, we're airing once a week our new episode, our older episodes, I should say. And we're trying to catch up. We've got a lot of,
oh my gosh,
dozens and dozens of episodes to catch up with. But we're getting there. And, our plan is that when the new season comes out in January, our hope is in July, when we're legally allowed to put it on YouTube, we will. So that'll be kind of following a little closer than some of the shows have been so far.
Wow, we've got so many great. Christy Watson Anderson is coming from Melbourne, Florida, Space Center. Kevin and I got to see, remember that?
Yeah, that's right.
The space shuttle go up in the air. And the best thing was when my dearly departed cameraman, Stan Murphy, was from Melbourne, Florida, who I did all of Passport to Europe with. He was there. And so during his... it was his engagement party.
Yeah.
And the big deal was that the space shuttle was taking off. And so Kevin and I, not being from Florida or that area, we were like, listen, we don't want to miss it.
Where's it going to be?
Where's it going to be? Where should we be looking?
That way or
should we
that
be
way?
looking this way? And all of a sudden, whoa, 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 and the whole ground shakes and you just see this fireball. And we felt like the biggest idiots in the world because we were like, listen, we don't want to miss it. You gotta tell us where it is. Like, oh, you'll know. And oh my gosh, it's like an amazing experience. So love to see you there.
John's calling in from Kentucky, from Bowling Green. I just got my...
oh boy, that's it.
I got my barrel.
Oh my gosh, that's it. This whole live is now going to be just about bourbon because that's Kevin's mistress.
I bought a barrel with some friends earlier this year, and they finally arrived. All 16 bottles. That was fun. Colleen. Oh, Colleen's here. Hey, Colleen.
Greetings.
She's going to Costa Rica
next year for 2 weeks for a yoga retreat and fun excursions. Do you have any suggestions for fun excursions?
We got a whole 30-minute episode about fun
exactly.
excursions.
We're just going to send you the link now, Colleen. Yeah, a lot of great excursions. One of my favorite places, can I just tell?
Go ahead.
Rio Celeste. That area... The river, unbelievable. We stayed at a beautiful eco resort, fantastic. But tubing down the river was one of the best, fun, exhilarating experiences I've ever done. Really, really wonderful. Great group of people there as well. A lot of people from Cincinnati, Ohio. We've got Brandy Henry from Cincinnati, Ohio. Twice.
Okay.
All right. All right, maybe twice.
It's okay.
All right. We love Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's great.
Johnny Mazzetti's.
All right.
I love Johnny Mazzetti's.
Little housekeeping, just an update on our cruise this summer with Ama Waterways on the lower Danube, going from Budapest to Bucharest on the Ama Magna. There is one room left, and it's the suite.
And which one is it? And how much is
the
that?
The grand suite. And it is grand, and it's a suite. So I'd say whoever's interested in that, the website's there, amawaterways.com, Samantha Brown, and make sure you use the code to get that discount. That'll be sorely needed for the suite. But in August, we're going to, on the Oceana, our sponsor Oceana Cruises, on their brand new Allura ship from Monte Carlo to Athens. And if you go to our website, Samantha-Brown.com. At the top it says Travel with Samantha, and you can find all the information about that cruise there. But if you say Allura August 5th, Monte Carlo, you'll find the whole details there.
Wait a minute. Do you know who has just entered the house?
No.
The man himself.
What?
Yeah. This is
the Enigma.
Oh my gosh. David, thank you so much for joining us.
David Effin Dean.
David Effin Dean is our phenomenal editor of Places to Love, of the Emmy. The reason why we have an Emmy is because, or 2 Emmys, is because of David Dean, and he has been my editor for close to 20 years, even before Places to Love. And so if you have any great editing questions, of course, he really adds a lot to our Facebook Lives because he gives us sort of even a deeper dive into just how much footage goes into creating the show, choosing the music, color grading, just choosing the images he does.
Dealing with me. It's a treat.
Yeah.
It's a treat.
What are we drinking?
Very
Speaking
soon.
of that.
Before we do that, we got someone from Australia. Hey, Bindi.
What?
How you going, mate?
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. We're in Australia.
Oh, that's a good question. Where in Australia are you? That's exciting. So our friend Bill Johnson, who's going to be traveling with us this summer on the Alma Magna with that river cruise, Eileen's making her French 75. Speaking of which, that is our cocktail for the evening. And there's two reasons why I chose that cocktail. One is that the Empress Hotel had a French 75 in the menu that I thought was interesting. I took some inspiration from that. But also, one of my favorite gins is distilled just outside of Victoria, and it's called the Empress Gin, and it's cool blue color. And what's kind of fun, this is some chemistry stuff that I promise something's not going to blow up, that when you add acid to it, it changes the color of it. See that? It goes from blue to pink. Kind of cool. I'm going to make a cocktail.
Nice.
You take over.
Okay, all right. It's up to me now. Listen, I know this is the week, pretty much a week before the big holiday, a few holidays coming up. We have Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa is the 26th, I believe, or maybe the 25th as well. So anyone traveling? Where are you traveling to? Give me a comment. We are heading over down to Delaware. We go to Delaware to see Kevin's parents, and that's where we stay. What's nice, in the holidays when everyone's traveling, we kind of stay home and just get into our minivan and drive. And yes, I do drive a minivan. Let's see. Ooh, Janie B, we have Aloha from Kona, Hawaii. Oh my gosh. It has been a long time since I've been in Hawaii, and Kona is a beautiful place. I remember it well. I got some amazing coffee that is on the Big Island of Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. Creswell, Oregon. Richard, I guess, is this coming from YouTube, Kev?
It's red.
What?
Is it red?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I cleared the. I gotta go back to this.
No, yeah. See, he starts drinking.
There you go. I haven't started yet.
Okay. Hello from Creswell, Oregon. All right. Where is that? Where's Creswell? Is it near the coast? Is it Eastern Oregon where you have like the painted desert, which I love, the painted hills? Delaware and Delaware. I love it. Let's see. Tuning in from Brian is tuning in from Chicago. Chicago is one of our top top. I can't talk with him shaking. I'm sorry. There you go. Sorry. Chicago is one of our number one markets. We get the highest ratings in Chicago, right? Dallas, Texas is one of our top ratings. So thank you for tuning in from Chicago. Let's see. Anyone going anywhere? Hello from Easton, Pennsylvania. Okay, you got to tell me where that is. My whole family, my mom and dad are from Reading, Pennsylvania. And most of my family still live in Pennsylvania. Charles Kyler made it. Excellent. I hope you are making the French 75 drinks because I know that you... wait a minute. We have another star in the house, Kevin.
Who's that?
Brad Eichmann.
What?
Yes, Brad Eichmann. Kevin and Brad are, thank you very much, are curlers. Just going to leave it at that.
Bill's a curler.
Bill's a curler?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, that's good. Boy, my day started at 5:30 a.m., so that tastes really, really nice.
All right.
So, Brad and Kevin are on the same curling team in Brooklyn. What's the name?
Romancing the Stone.
Romancing the Stone.
Finally got a win yesterday.
Yes, a big win.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Congratulations, Brad. We're all very proud of you. All right. So, a lot of people here. Let's see. Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes. I've been there many times. Minneapolis, Minnesota, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We've got a lot of great people from all over the United States and Australia. Look at that. Kona on the Big Island.
Awesome.
We would love to come back to the Big Island. Would you like us there? How? Tell us, because you live there. I always want to know how people feel about travelers coming to Hawaii, because I know we sort of inundated the place for a long time. And I'm very conscious of going to places where, just like the citizens, they need to love their place. They need to have it. And when we come in en masse and just sort of take over. I just really feel very conscious about like bringing a travel show to a place where I feel like, boy, they get a lot of publicity and they might not want it anymore. But yeah, tell me how that is. Are there ways to go to Hawaii where we are not bothersome? Would love to know that, because I think we have a tendency to kind of overwhelm Hawaii. All right.
So this week we're talking about the beautiful episode we filmed in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah,
and
dream of mine to go there.
We had this funny thing that the year before we spent 4 hours there on a cruise, and we actually tried to film it, which was kind of ridiculous, 4 hours. But being there was just we were all like,
yeah,
we need to come back here. This is
beautiful.
This is such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's got a little nice pocket downtown, but it's around the gorgeous countryside. I mean, it's
flowers everywhere. That's what I remember being told that before. Like when we hear about, like, and I read about a place, it's like there's flowers everywhere. There's flowers everywhere. And when you arrive, there's flowers everywhere. There's just hanging baskets on lamp posts around every little fence, every barrier, every building. It's just flowers. It's really pretty.
Yeah. And when I came in, I was scouting a show in Portland, Oregon, and I came in by ferry from Port Angeles, which is the town the ferry leaves from in Washington State. And
yeah, it's a cool, yeah.
It's like you're inside. By the time you get into the port, you need to be at your car. So that's kind of why I was there. Otherwise, you're up on the upper deck, which is gorgeous. I mean, you're in the middle of the sound, I guess it is. But yeah, it was a really special way to arrive to such a beautiful place. And the crew did the same thing. You guys went when they went to film the show.
Exactly.
We filmed a show in Portland, Oregon, and then drove to Port Angeles and took the ferry over. So it was the same experience I had.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was really excited because, of course, you're crossing into a border. So when you come out, you have to show your passport. But being from New York State, I had an enhanced license. And those licenses are only available to states that touch the border of Canada. And it even says on our license, enhanced. And so we don't have to have a passport with us. We can show our license. Now, I did have my passport with me because I always do. I was going to fly out, so I knew I needed to have it because you do have to have a passport to fly. But if you're driving in like ports or, water, like cruise ships, that sort of thing, you can still have an enhanced license.
Kathy asked when we were there, and I think, was it June or May? It was definitely early summer, late spring.
I'm going to say May because it was still just a tiny bit chilly.
Okay. So I would have been filming, scouting in April.
Yeah.
But it was still nice when I was there. It wasn't that cold.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, so...
this is a very good cocktail.
Thank you.
I'm going to drink this whole thing, and that does not bode well for the rest of this live.
I've made a horrible mistake. I regret my choices.
I don't drink that much, and so when I do, well, they'll be dancing.
All right, so let's get started. Victoria, Canada.
I'm in a city that everyone loves. It has one of those enviable locations right on the water that has attracted people for tens of thousands of years. It's a city recognized for its picture-perfect beauty and charm, where flowers bloom everywhere and friendly taxis dot the harbor. But far more than a pretty face, this city is at the forefront of sustainability.
Oh my gosh!
And everyone who lives here acts as a piece in its great puzzle. From its ocean waters to its lush urban forests, with a local fresh food scene that comes straight from the farm and boat, I'm in Victoria, Canada.
Fun fact, that last little shot there where it said Canada, we did film that.
I was going to say, that did make it.
The year before. Because we were there at dusk, and that was like the one shot we got that we said, hey, you know what, we could reuse that.
Yeah, it's a good thing we catalog our footage and we can easily find it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, that was such a, it was it Canada Day that day, the day that we were there? Oh, it was the day I was scouting. It was Canada Day, which is like, their 4th of July, and we're there trying to see things, and it was just a mob of people and live music, and it was this huge, awesome party, and we couldn't even get a taxi. We had to walk all the way from the ship, and it was just mayhem. but great mayhem. Like, man, it's like, I wish I was not having to work right now.
Yeah. And I think we get that question a lot as a travel show. Like, why don't you go when they're doing this festival or this is going on? And that's why. It's just, we don't have access the same way you do if you're just sort of in a typical day. And that just becomes really tough as a production team. So like I know there are travel shows that do like focus on festivals, and I'm really impressed by them because I think that's really hard to do. We like to show a place the way it's going to be, the other 364 days out of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun though. But it was a nice little like teaser of like, we need to come back here. Let's make that happen. And we were really fortunate that literally less than a year later, we were there. It was. I
think we have a lot of people who have been to Victoria. Janie B loves Victoria. They have great seafood food truck there. So good, yeah. And
and then someone took the ferry.
I took the ferry. Oh, the Strait of Juan de Fuca is so beautiful. It is, and both my cameraman and sound man are from Seattle. Oh, we're starting. Sorry.
More of a guest in someone's home. And that home could be their land, their history, their culture. And so with that, I would like to express gratitude to the Lekwungen-speaking people of the Esquimalt and Songhees nations. This inner harbor, the mountains, the land, this is their traditional territories, and we get to enjoy it because of their stewardship and care. So I promise I'm going to be a very good guest.
And what a home I'm in. Victoria is the capital of British Columbia, which sits at the southern tip of Vancouver Island, the largest island off the west coast of North America. It's been attracting people to its shores from all over the world.
So we have the oldest Chinatown in Canada, 30 years older than Vancouver.
Okay.
And we are second in North America, second to San Francisco. And of course, the reason why San Francisco and Victoria became a large Chinese community was because of the gold rush. I'm Charlene Thornton-Joe, and for the last 20 years, I was on Victoria City Council. I recently retired, and now I am the visitor experience and volunteer coordinator for the Chinese Canadian Museum.
It feels like there's still that authentic Chinese culture that we as outsiders can experience.
So this is the barbecue shop. And it's the oldest Chinese business in all of North America. So not just Victoria or Canada, but all of North America.
Wow.
And they have carried on the tradition of making barbecue pork, crispy skinned pork, the soy sauce chicken.
It smells phenomenal.
And locals and visitors come in all the time to either buy some things to take home or to get their lunch. They might bring some if they go visit friends or family. The delicacy is the skin and the fat.
Not the meat.
No. So right there. And this is
this right here.
Yes, so delicious. Can you get that one up?
Yeah. Oh, like right there.
Okay. Oh, you got lots. Okay, here we go.
That is crispy skin. That is so good. So they clearly serve their community.
And it was time to explore more of it.
I've always read about Victoria being this wonderful, like, walking city.
Yes.
But these alleyways make it even more of a discovery, right?
And you have to think of the old days when you would hear like the mahjong tables, the bantan, only Chinese language being spoken. That's part of the magic of this place. And this is considered the narrowest street in Canada.
It's considered a street?
It is called a street because there's actual addresses in here. So people were always surprised, 16 and a half means you go up the stairs.
Okay.
You can get a greater sense of the vibrant history here at the Chinese Canadian Museum.
The museum's mission is to tell the story of our Chinese Canadian community, the history, culture, and the success stories that we can celebrate today. I managed to sneak a few of my photos in there. So,
where are you?
Right behind the drum there, and there's my father holding my sister. And there's another one right here.
Bantan Alley is named after an ancient game in China, which in this case was played by placing a bet on how many buttons would be left in the main pile after being separated 4 buttons at a time.
I get people that come in and say, are you sad that a lot of them aren't Chinese-owned businesses? What's important to me is that there's not boarded up shops. There are people on the streets that are checking out the stores. My parents worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, no pension. They had no medical and dental. They didn't say, I want you to take over Loy Sing Butcher. We want you to go to university and we want you to get other jobs. And so when you see that a lot of the businesses aren't owned by Chinese, that's a success story.
I thought that point blew my mind. And because whenever you go to these places and it's not as diverse as you want it, things have sort of dissipated a bit. It's not so concentrated. Your first thought is, oh no, like it can't be a real Chinatown. And her point, Charlene, was that no, that's a success story. They've moved on. They've gone to college and they've started their own businesses, or they're now just sort of in a way that they're not toiling for 12 hours a day. And I love that point. I thought that just made the whole segment, because for me, I always love to learn about the people and the place more than just a basic tour. And that piece of information was just human effort at its best, I think.
It's hard to believe this. Lisa, her great-grandfather started Loy Sing.
So you have to tell us more.
Yeah,
I mean, my gosh.
You can't throw that comment out there. Are you still in the Victoria area?
Yeah.
Wow. Where did he come from in China?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's. I had a really interesting tour when I was in Hong Kong the last time, where the guy that was taking me around, we were on Hong Kong Island, but we were kind of away from the main touristy area in Central, and he's like, yeah, this board is where all of the announcements, basically all the Chinese that left to go to Victoria and to San Francisco to be part of the gold rush and the railroad and all the things that happened, the only way that they would send messages back and it would just be pasted on a board. So the only way they find out like the status of their loved ones is to look at this board every week.
Wow.
It's man, you never think of it the other side of people that left and the people that were still behind, waiting for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll come if you respond back, we will come back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to know more about you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. But that the Fenton Alley was really cool. It's just a cool. It's a great. We've been to a lot of Chinatowns around the world, but the Victoria one is really nice. It's not huge. It's not like New York that's just massive. It's a few blocks, and that alleyway was just so. It's like the smallest.
Yes,
it's the narrowest street in all of, because it's technically a street for some reason.
And if you go, I know a few people said they do have plans to be going to Victoria soon. Go to that museum. It was lovely. It's very small, but it really tells a powerful story. Just of.
Still has family in Victoria. Her great aunts are 104 and 97.
Wow,
that is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
That must that means we need to eat more barbecue.
The skin.
The skin. Only the skin. Throw the meat away. Eat the skin.
My great aunts are
wow.
Oh my gosh, you're a legacy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
There aren't many cities where I would newly arrive and hop on a bicycle, but Victoria's so bike-friendly that they've got an eco-totem that counts the number of cyclists that pass by it each day. So biking is the perfect way to get an overview of what makes this city so special.
So this is the Parliament building.
These are the Parliament buildings, yes. We're a constitutional monarchy. The king is head of state, the prime minister is head of government.
My whole life, I've just considered Canada an independent country. What you're saying is not so fast.
That's correct.
I've got a question. I get British in BC.
Am I the only one who didn't know that? I was like, well, wait, what? Okay, go. Sorry.
Where does Columbia come into the
Columbia.
game?
This is the drainage basin of the Columbia River.
Okay.
The Queen designated it British Columbia to stand alone from the Oregon Territory and Southern Columbia, which was Washington State. So we became British Columbia.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Never even really thought of British Columbia.
A city that really is proud of their sustainability
We're
efforts.
really trying, yes. You'll notice litter on the streets is almost non-existent. We all pitch in and pick up. We don't tear the old buildings down here. We repurpose them.
All right. Where do we see that?
Right beside, these are all old 1900, 1903, but all the old buildings are still intact. It really adds to the charm of the city.
I always say it's impossible to be unhappy on a bike.
Oh my God, I've heard that.
Do you say that?
Yes, it's so true.
And you have a little bit of everything right here in the Inner Harbor in terms of the Grand Dame Hotel. You've got your Parliament building, you've got the boats, all the shops, the restaurants. It's so concentrated.
It's very well planned to welcome visitors.
As Rick and I bike into Beacon Hill Park, all the bustle of the city fades as we travel through a rainforest.
Oh, wow. How lucky are you that you have a city park that has waterfront access? That's incredible.
The Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is, of course, part of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
And we are looking due south to Washington State. And Samantha, look behind me.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's the tallest freestanding single tree totem pole in the world, 127 feet, 7 inches. It's called a story pole. It represents some of the habitat that you find on the island. So you see an orca fin, you'll see eagle beaks, there's halibut, beaver on there. Yeah.
After escorting me along the seacoast, Rick told me about a lunch spot that I'd love, with legendary fish and chips sold in a food truck / fish market called Finest at Sea. So what makes you the finest at sea?
Well, it's the way we fish for the fish and the way that it's treated from the time that it comes on board.
Comes on board where?
We have a fleet of boats. We catch all of the fish that we sell here on property. Almost all of our boats are equipped with a special system on them that freezes the fish that we catch within an hour of being caught. So immediately when the fish is caught, it is put on these pans where it's frozen at minus 30 degrees immediately. So every time you eat fish here, it's like it was just caught within hours.
That's wonderful.
It is.
This is the freshest fish I could possibly have.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it finest at sea.
Absolutely.
Now I'm getting it.
Yes.
I mean, what should I have? I think I was gunning for the fish and chips.
Definitely fish and chips is what people like the most. We love lingcod here as well. It's got richer flavor and texture than a halibut.
Okay.
And it's not
I've
as
never even
expensive.
heard of that.
It's a really, really beautiful fish. White fish as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I should try something that's absolutely indicative of this area and these waters. So the lingcod?
Lingcod,
All right,
absolutely.
I'll
Have
do
a lingcod
fish and
and
chips
chip.
with lingcod. Oh, look how beautiful that is.
Oh boy.
Man, we just had dinner. I'm starving.
Yeah,
I want to
know.
eat that.
No, me too.
One
Yeah, that was. I love that transition of just doing a bike ride and going to a food truck and having that we didn't have time to really feature that place, but they had a whole fish market in the back that was amazing. They had every kind of fish you could imagine that they catch. Their boats, they bring it in.
Yeah. And we wanted to tell that story, definitely. But I didn't want to be out on a fishing boat. So
Because you don't want to curse the fishing fleet by them not catching anything that one time.
Whenever I'm on a boat and you're supposed to catch fish, no fish will be caught.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great. And I loved how just accessible that it was. And just kind of out in the open and really casual place. We love those places that are just kind of open to all.
Karen had mentioned that she went to a great food truck, and then she said that's.
Was that the one?
That's the one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That's great.
And we actually had a plan that it just, I think we say this every week. The hardest thing that we do is picking what we filmed, and that makes the show. That we film 10 times more than we use. So it's always this thing that you have to keep making the scene smaller and smaller to fit in the 30 or 25 minutes that we have. But just up the hill from there is a little elevated park that you can sit and watch the whole waterfront. And it was just like, we were originally going to go up there and have a little picnic and stuff. We just didn't have time, but just magic. It's a magical place. Oh, someone else went. Look at that.
Went to Victoria in October, and this place was so good, right? I think they basically everything you showed me. Yeah.
All right.
The defining element of Victoria is its amount of flowers. They're everywhere. But to really stop and smell the roses, I headed about a half an hour outside the city to a garden that will wow you. Butchart Gardens is one of the most famous in the world, and for any visitor to Victoria, an absolute must-see. And the star of the show is the Sunken Garden.
Oh my.
amazing what you can do with an old limestone quarry. Like imagine this is an excavation pit 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. Mr. Butchart was a pioneer in the cement industry, and this area was actually a great location to have a limestone quarry. The Butcharts actually lived in the company house on the property. Once the limestone had exhausted in the sunken garden, Mrs. Butchart, being a horticulturalist, she started landscaping around her home. And just like any gardener, one plant led to another, and developed into the gardens that we are today. And my name is Carlos Montes. I'm the Director of Horticulture here at the beautiful Butchart Gardens. I'm very fortunate. I'm entering my 49th year on the staff here at the gardens.
Carlos took over from his father, who was head gardener for 35 years. And Butchart Gardens has been owned by the same family for over 100.
So these gardens are really one woman's dream almost 100 years later. But how long did it take to go from being this empty pit into something resembling a garden?
I'd say about a 2 to 3 year process to actually do the garden, because a lot of the rocks and materials that were on the floor itself of the quarry, she just piled them up into the beds. And then, like I said, then it was a slow process to bring plants in. The garden has really changed through the years. The garden passed to her grandson, and he really was a visionary to really make us into this display garden that we are today.
Is everything I'm looking at something that was planted?
Yeah, everything you see would have been planted. Like some of the original trees might have been, this area was originally logged way back when in the 1800s. Well, actually, all of these beds are still in the design of Mrs. Butchart's time. So we've really tried to maintain how she laid out the garden. So all these flower beds were her original design. One of the things that I'm very proud of in my role is the way we've transitioned our gardens to become more sustainable and think about the environment. We've been working extremely hard to introduce organic-based fertilizers. We have an extensive integrated pest management program, which is actually changing the way we think about plants, having the right plants grow in the right location, developing plants that will actually be better adaptable to an area, and then we use a lot of natural predators, so trying to reduce our need of chemical-based fertilizers, chemicals at all. And people will look at our garden and think that our plants are on steroids, but they're not. They're actually very organic.
I have to stop it here because Daniel stated, I think, what we're all thinking.
Yeah.
He's been there for 49 years.
Yeah.
He started when he was 2.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's what happens when you're surrounded by flowers, beautiful things, I guess.
That's
right?
true. Reminds us of the guy, our Swiss friend.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
He was the head gardener of the Alpine Garden in Schneeplatte, Switzerland, and he seemed that he was similar. That
impressed that you pulled that.
So everything that you see, all the flowers, they actually get composted and they get turned over. We recycle everything we have on all our plant material on the property, and that becomes our soil. We haven't bought soil in over 30 years.
Sustainability is such a...
Yeah, I think the Butchart Gardens is probably the most...
And that's not in Victoria.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes.
Right, but if you go to Victoria, you go out.
But it's probably the most visited place, I think. If someone goes to Victoria, it's top of the list. I mean, it's one of the best gardens in the world.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go all that way to Victoria, like you want to see it, I think.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It really is beautiful. And I am definitely in my garden stage of life where, now I call my mom, I send her pictures of my mom and I talk about the flowers. It really leaves an impression, and it just is this beautifully peaceful place. And that was just one. The Sunken Gardens gets that's what really truly is amazing. It was a quarry pit turned into paradise, but the whole garden area.
There's a Japanese garden.
The roses. It's just stunning.
Lots of people have been there. Michelle was just there in October. Colors are beautiful.
Oh, I love that. Also really accessible by public transit. Love that.
Yeah, we got some...
we love public transportation. I love when things are easy. Yeah.
I love that Miranda went to the gift shop and bought a trivet from Butchart Gardens.
Nice.
And a pot holder from her afternoon tea at the Empress.
All good souvenirs.
Yeah, there's no shame in that.
Yeah, I was going to say trivets, pot holders, teapots, everything. Yeah, I buy a lot of, what do you call them, like tea towels. They don't take up much room or add any weight to your luggage, and it's just a nice reminder of where you've been.
Foundational value for Puzzle Lab. Everything we do is through a lens of how is this impacting our footprint and how is it impacting the world. So The materials that we're using are all eco-friendly and sustainable. Our packaging is made of paper. We don't have any plastic in the packaging. We're very careful about where we get our wood and making sure that's sustainably sourced. And then several of our puzzles are actually puzzles with a purpose. So every once in a while we release a puzzle where a portion of the sales from that puzzle are actually being donated back into conservation efforts. My name is Tinka Robev.
And I'm Andrew Azopardi.
We are partners in life and business, and we founded the Puzzle Lab in 2020.
When we started, we found this huge community of people that are obsessed. And that was great news for us because it gave us the opportunity to throw things at them.
Andrew is called the mad scientist in our production.
I had this idea of why don't we try to make the whole puzzle out of orcas? Wow. Every piece being an orca. So I did quite a bit of research, and then from there I brute forced figured out a shape that was an orca.
Anyone who starts a puzzle,
yeah.
corner pieces,
I know.
borders, and you took that away from us.
Yeah, except that there are, if you look really closely, there are edge pieces.
Right here?
You see how there's no actual connector on the end of the whale tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know there's an edge piece.
Okay.
But yeah, that just gave everything away.
All of our artwork is curated from up-and-coming Canadian artists. They receive a royalty on every puzzle sold with their artwork, so we're really proud to be supporting the artists as well as providing a platform for them to expand their reach.
I love your difficulty level ratings. Chili peppers.
Yep. We've noticed that most people are leaning towards the 3, 4. Brave go to 5, or the 5 are for like a friend that they are upset with, or they want to, give them a bit of a hard time.
A little bit of pain.
So I'll show you over here. This one. Ooh, this one is. There is a warning right there.
Puzzles have a warning. That says
yeah. I've started removing the things that you take for granted when doing a puzzle. And that's
corner pieces, edges, the borders.
Exactly.
Love them.
And in this case, every piece is identical. And they can rotate into position.
Wait, so up is down, down is up, side is side.
There are 20 pieces that are unique, and so as you're putting this together, if you get the wrong piece in the wrong position, it may not go together.
You could be almost done with this puzzle.
Yeah. And it's
You
not.
weren't right.
You weren't right.
You are evil.
Yeah, I know.
You are the evil puzzle.
I know. I know.
Yeah, we also did a really interesting project for the Métis Nation of British Columbia. That's an indigenous nation here. And they reached out to us and had us design and create 2,000 children's puzzles to help the kids in the community connect with the culture and the values of their culture. So we're really excited to see all the different ways that puzzles can bring joy and connection to the people.
Great story about why this is in the show. I always love the story.
So, I always say every week that I scout most of our episodes, not all, but most. And the great support team at Visit Victoria was, helping me introduce me to places. And we, a lot of the places we went to were because of, the introductions I got through them. But we literally were walking on the street, going to an appointment. And I looked in the window and just saw it and stopped for a second. And then we just kept walking. And we went probably half a block. And I stopped. I was like, can we go back there? I'm like, sure. So we went back in. And they weren't there. It was just, it was open. And just so unique and so interesting. And the artwork being
how
all
they
indigenous.
Display it.
Yeah, how they display it. And the it's like layer after layer after layer.
Yeah.
Was interesting.
And we should say like that the sort of overall theme of this episode was sustainability and regeneration, and how this entire, this is on Vancouver Island, how this island community, Victoria is on Vancouver Island, just rallies around this idea of, and most islands are more in touch with this, like we have to do something to exist. Yeah. And so just it all comes together with this puzzle lab. Just everything they did, every single step of the way was sustainable, from the wood, the packaging, supporting the artists, reaching out to the indigenous, the First Nations. Like it just they were all puzzle pieces that fit. There we go.
You're good.
I know.
Wow.
I
mean, you should have a TV show.
The show's already shot, and whatever.
But it was. And going in there, and then I came back and showed you what I saw, and I'm like, yeah, we got to do that.
Yeah.
And then we met them, and it was
you meet the team, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
So we loved it.
We are in the Salish Sea, which hands down is one of the most magnificent, nutrient-rich and biodiverse-rich regions in the world next to the Amazon rainforest.
I'm heading out on the Salish Sea on a whale watch with a company that has been at the helm of Victoria's conservation efforts for 20 years.
We feel strongly that sustaining where we are currently in our ecosystem and our environment and being corporately responsible is maybe just not enough. I'm Brett Soberg, co-owner, operator, and captain of Eagle Wing Tours from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. As a company, we actually were able to do some sound testing of all the different boats in our fleet, and it was remarkable to know the difference in the range and at different speeds with different pieces of equipment.
So you're basically getting volume levels on each boat and what it puts out?
And the hope is that the end result is that we'll be able to make some operational decisions and or changes or modifications to the boat to further reduce our acoustic footprint, which is it's important to do. Oh, there's an animal out there about a half a mile, way up off our bow. About a half mile. It's further to the east there. Just came up.
Oh, there we go, right here.
Yeah.
There you go, right there.
I'm keeping it low.
Oh my God. Beautiful humpback whale.
That's a humpback?
Yep.
Oh,
indeed.
Look at him. Or her.
Here comes the tail, here comes the tail. Come on,
Show us your tail. Come on, show your tail. Yes.
Nice, fantastic.
Eagle Wing Tours has given $1 million to support 29 local organizations with a strong focus on conservation.
Oh, lunge feeding? No way!
What's lunge feeding?
Lunge feeding is when you have a school bus with flippers opening up its mouth, going sideways at the surface with its mouth fully open. And you can see the baleen. Their throat will expand exponentially out like a big bullfrog. They take in huge quantities of water. When they close that baleen, their tongue, which is a really big, powerful muscle, pushes the water through the baleen. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
See the baleen top of
Beautiful.
pectoral fin, tail on the side.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of power and grace and beauty behind these animals, but the power is what you have to really respect. You don't get closer, you don't try to get the animal to do anything beyond what it just needs to do, and that's just be a wild animal by nature, which is the way we like our critters.
Yeah, he was pretty amazing. Yeah,
The company's amazing.
The company's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely. When you go to Victoria, check them out. Their link is on our website. Just so passionate.
Eagle Wing.
Eagle Wing
Tours. Yeah.
And I just love because he got so excited about the whale. Do you see when he was explaining the feeding? He's not looking at me.
Let's do this.
He's not looking at me anymore. He's looking at the whole crew, because the whole crew is like behind me, like just so excited what we're seeing. And so he's like a teacher in a classroom, and I love that. Like, that's when someone's just so into what they're doing that they're forgetting that the cameras are there. They're forgetting that it's kind of just like me and him, and he's just opening it up to the crew, because we were I don't know, it's really a special moment, because these moments are really hard to capture on camera. I can't begin to, whenever I see one of these on our schedules, I'm like, okay, here we go, because we don't have 12 hours. I mean, if you really are like a National Geographic or a Discovery, and you're there for 4 days just to do that one scene so you can get all of this, there's so much luck involved. And
the answer, Mandy, is one tour. We had about 2.5 hours. 2.5,
yeah. I mean, we probably total were there. We were out there and he kept going, and because it was just, and then he has other tours out. There's bigger tours, so there's bigger boats with more people, and then he has a smaller boat, so they're always radioing.
Yeah, not only our company, all the companies work together to say, hey, we saw a pod of killer whales, or orca that way, and there's some different whales that way, and so that they all kind of know where they are. Because I know when I scouted, it's like, well, how will we know where to go? And he goes, we'll know that morning.
Yeah.
That after what should be happening that afternoon, and the map he showed me was, if we're in the middle, like we could go really way to the north, almost to or to the south to Washington, just across the border to Washington, or we could be going the other direction to the north. You know, it just depends on where the whales are.
Yeah.
And
they always have to keep a big distance. Clearly, our cameras can zoom in, so it looks like we're closer than we are, because it is all about the respect of the animal. I love Karen Ledoux Atkins says, I've been 4 times in Alaska and saw tons each time. That's because I wasn't on your boat, Karen. Because if I was on your boat, you would have seen goose egg. So if anyone ever sees me on any sort of fishing...
Well, if you were trying to fish those whales, I think that would be...
that's right.
Yeah.
Then 0 goose eggs. So I'm glad. Daniel knows. He says, I went whale watching once and nothing. It can happen, and it usually does when you have a lot of cameras pointing and hoping to get those shots.
But I have to say that our shooters are the best in the business, and we have 2 of them that are amazing, and they got those shots. We had, like you said, National Geographic or the BBC people will be out there for days or weeks. Trying to get that shot, and we had 2.5 hours.
And you're on a rocking boat.
Yeah.
With cameras, and they're trying to get that shot, and they have to get it. I mean, there's so much pressure on them. To get it done, and they did. We were really happy with that, so we're glad. And it's all for. And I love what he had to say about. It's not, sustaining is not enough anymore. We know that sustaining is not where we want to be. It's how do we get better? How do we regenerate and grow from this? So that was sort of what I took away from that.
And just designing the boats for the way the hull makes noise.
Yeah.
I mean, I had never heard of that.
And donating over $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really great
so
company.
Cool.
Yeah.
10 Acres is not only the name of this establishment, it also refers to the farm where all of these ingredients, most of them anyway, come directly from.
Yeah.
That really is taking that farm to table, label to the highest level possible, right?
Yeah.
So what's in season right now that we can see on these plates?
We have asparagus crops popping up. We also have our tomatoes starting already because we grow all of our tomatoes and peppers in greenhouses. We also have oysters, of course, that are local to Vancouver Island. We're always rolling fresh noodles. Our lasagnas are made with fresh pasta sheets. So having that experience of a fresh noodle is really unique to a lot of customers.
Katrina Archibald is the sous chef at 10 Acres and has responsibilities between running the restaurant and working directly with the farm.
We have staple things like our pork chop that we make, and again, our fresh pastas, but the actual ingredients that are going with that dish, that are creating it, are seasonal.
Are people, travelers to this area, surprised at the bounty that Victoria and then Vancouver Island, really give us?
They are, and even myself, I'm from the island, and I am shocked at some of the crops that we grow that are successful. But often our ingredients are so true to their flavors that we don't need to do much.
So I'm gonna try this.
Oh my gosh.
Because the asparagus is the best. Yeah.
The asparagus is one of my favorite crops, actually.
And you've paired it with a lovely puff pastry here, some cheese. What cheese did you choose?
So this one has brie cheese feature in there, a double cream, an asparagus. It has a little twist in the sense of it has the everything bagel spice. It has sesame seeds, poppy seeds, garlic powder, all homemade mixed in there. And then our aioli you see on the plate there, that one is a deviled aioli. So it's similar to what you get inside your deviled egg, but minus the egg whites.
Oh my gosh. So this tomato right here came from a farm that was 20 minutes away.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, they're like candy.
Oh my gosh. And
so
the
sweet.
longer the summer goes and the hotter, the sweeter they get.
Sounds like there's a real community effort. And even though we're in a city, the oldest city in the Pacific Northwest, there's still a lot of community here that believes in where we're going for in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think Victoria is really doing their best to hold on to that as business owners, as people that are running, as chefs, as the faces of a lot of the communities. I think they're definitely holding on to that.
Loved her. Loved the fact that she's a local and she is the sous chef of that restaurant. Because a lot of times people are from outside and they come because they're really inspired by a place. They've come from somewhere else. But I just love the fact that she went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and now she's there. And that her appreciation for everything just sort of grew and grew and grew. And now we get to kind of be the benefit of that. And that restaurant was just wonderful. I love. I mean, we couldn't film at the farm, we just didn't have the time. But yeah, that was just down the road, really. Well, 11 miles. But.
Yeah, I wandered in there the first night I was in town.
Yeah.
It was just,
is that another discovery?
Near the hotel, and it was. Yeah, there was lots of nice restaurants, but it was, I don't know.
They had a better bourbon
I just
list?
picked that one, and then was like, wow, this place is great. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Nice. Good shot.
And then the Empress. So when you go to Victoria, I think we have to say this. The Empress looms over the Parliament building in one corner is a huge, just really important building. But then in the other corner is the Empress. And it's between those two buildings, that to me, like, that's Victoria. I mean, there's such an important part of the skyline there, and the harbor. You're always in the harbor, and they're the two cornerstones of the harbor, if that makes sense.
I think it's really nice when being all the cities we've been to, when cities have this sort of icon, and this one has two. It just sort of establishes it. So we're, it's just a part of, I think, what we love as travelers, where there's just something that says, yes, I'm here. I've made it. I've thought about this place for a long time, and as soon as I see it, I'm here, and that's what the Empress is, as well as the Parliament. For me, because of my love of hotels,
true.
It's the Empress. But I just love the pride of place that it has right there at the harbor, and it's you can't beat it. That's for sure.
And in the summer,
and we didn't stay there.
Yeah, we did. We didn't even stay there.
Yeah, we didn't.
But in the summer, the sunsets just, that whole building just lights up.
That's so true. Yeah.
And it's not a ton of fun if you're in those windows trying to film a scene, because it's like it was so bright. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
We did that. We had to base the whole scene around where we could get shades down, because it would just blind everybody. It was crazy.
I love that. Too much sun is the best.
I'm ending my trip at the Empress. Opened in 1908, it's one of Canada's grandest hotels and is designated a National Historic Site. While it is famous for its afternoon tea, I'm here for a sunset sip to follow in the footsteps of one of its most famous guests, Winston Churchill, who sometimes liked to have his cocktail served in a teapot. Well, after all, it is British Columbia.
Does that gin look familiar?
It does look very familiar.
The famed hotel even has a gin named after it, and it puts on a show of its own.
My cocktail has a sort of a bluish tint to it. What?
So Empress Gin is made with pea flour.
And it's the pea flour gives it that blue.
When it
color.
hits acidity, so if you pour like tonic water, that's what changes that color. You don't have to be staying here to come and enjoy the Empress.
Mm-hmm. And you get to enjoy a lot of the accoutrements of afternoon tea, but in a more, I don't know, adult, sippy, drinky, winky.
Fun way. Absolutely. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Our good friend Colleen, she's been all over England for tea, but her favorite place to have tea was the Empress Hotel.
Nice.
Yeah, and I tell you, when you're there in the afternoon, it is packed. That whole area, the way they were trying to do was use the area that they have the tea services in the afternoon, because it was dead in the evening when we went there the first year. Try to turn it into something that was a little more lively. So they were kind of converting it to be a bar in the evening and doing those tea cocktails. But I mean, it was packed in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That was the one thing we knew. We could not film there in the afternoon because it was full of people.
Yeah, a lot of times if things are too packed, we can't be there. and I get it. Like, we would ruin other people's experiences. People come from all over the world to have tea there. So all of a sudden you have cameras and lights and then I'm difficult as the host, so I'm kidding. But yeah, that's why we didn't do that. But we're like, well, what else can we do? Because we have to show the Empress. So we did that.
Yeah.
Traveling to areas where you immerse yourself, there's perspective. And from that, you can preserve, protect, and promote things that you now love and understand. That is why Victoria is an amazing city and a place to travel and experience for yourself.
The new visitor who is just enthralled by the plant material or a flower or a plant, you can see what beauty you can create from a bleak landscape, one plant at a time, will help create a better environment for everybody.
A lot of Chinatowns, you will see gates such as this because we want a sense of welcoming. We call our gate the Gate of Harmonious Interest because, we wanted to remind people with the title that we all need to live in harmony and get along.
I would encourage anyone visiting Victoria to slow right down and really
Thinking the exact same thing.
stop and smell the roses. We got beautiful rose gardens, but also metaphorically, really just soak it all in. Victoria is such a beautiful place, and we really relish in the slower pace of life here.
Take your time.
I hope that you will too.
When a city puts a solid focus on sustainability, when locals all take steps, great and small, to affect a more positive change, when travelers can take part in having a softer impact on one of the prettiest cities in the world, that is when we share a love of travel.
I know.
And that's why Victoria, Canada is a place to love. For more information.
All right.
What a great show.
That was our show. We love being there. It really is paradise. It really is as beautiful as all the everything you've ever heard about it. And I had heard about it for a good 12 years as a traveler about this place called Victoria. So I loved getting there. I would love to say that the First Nation story was so important to us, and we had something really beautiful. And at the very last minute, they could not be there. There was a family emergency, but we were going to be going out into the harbor.
Yep.
It was going to be the welcome. And it just, sometimes those things just fall through, and they were
also the first
really
day of their
disappointed
season for them.
Yeah.
It was.
So that's why I did the welcome. That's why I said, I'm at the very beginning of the show, just so we could have that. But that was something that for us, it was disappointing because we wanted that. First Nations is very important to any sort of experience in Canada, and so we had it. And it just sometimes things don't work out, and so just But what did work out was really great.
So the question we got the most after the show aired wasn't about what time of year was it, or when you went whale watching. Yeah. Which provider did you go?
Yeah, exactly. How many whales? Yeah.
The question was what was the deal with that puzzle place?
Yeah. What is that?
How do I get that?
How do I get those puzzles? Exactly.
How do I get those? And so we have a special guest tonight, and coming all the way live from Victoria, Canada, our friend Andrew is joining us. Hey, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. Is he live? Hey, wait, what? Everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What? Okay.
My hair off, and I got rid of my glasses, and yeah.
Andrew,
the scarf? No.
I wouldn't recognize you on the street if I saw you. Based on your look now. I love both looks though, just so you know. Love it. now you look like, now you're not the mad scientist, you're sort of doctor scientist right now, because you're a little more clean cut.
Science?
Yeah. There's a little more I think with the scarf, with the longer hair, it was more mad scientist. Now you're a little more established, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, where did you come up with the idea to make those puzzles?
So, we ran a design studio beforehand, and during the pandemic, all of our built projects dried up. We were doing installation art for TED and a bunch of restaurants in town and that kind of stuff. And it all dried up because no one was building anything anymore. And so we had to switch to just doing graphics and branding to survive. And I got really bored, really bored. And there was this one day where I got advertised a wooden puzzle from a company in Russia. And I was like, wait a second. Wait. I can do this. And I can do it very well. And I have all the machines needed for this. And I love games. I love playing. And I think it's so important to play, especially as adults. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take a stab at this and try to figure it out. And that's how it started.
And one thing we did have to cut from the show for time was how you do figure out the cutting. There was something scientific about sort of creating the patterns. So talk about that process.
Yeah, so there's a few different kind of approaches that I've come up with to break up a piece of art. I feel like there's like an art to destroying something in a way,
Yeah.
right? You're breaking
Yeah.
it up. You're like, you're actually gamifying it. You're creating the way that people are interacting and interfacing with, a puzzle. And normally a puzzle is like, square, knob, and instead of doing that, every single puzzle I look at it, I'm like, what do I want to do here? How difficult do I want to be? Like, how difficult do I how do I want to engage people? Because actually, in a way, I'm building a relationship with these people that are buying my product.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way of saying it.
It builds a relationship. Like, there's people out there who hate me. They hate me, but maybe they're masochistic and they just want more. I don't know. So the design of it is constantly evolving and changing. Some of them are built off of algorithms that I've written, trying to mimic growth patterns in nature. Some of them are based off of tessellations, like Escher-style tessellations that I'm constantly evolving and playing with, like the Orca puzzle. Some of them are really
our
mean.
friend Mark, just 10 seconds before you said that word, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
But he just posted tessellations. What is that?
A tessellation is something that is a repeating pattern over and over again. So, for instance, like a triangle, right? You can stack them basically, and they kind of nest all together, or hexagons, But then you can get really creative with how you break them up. And if you start with a triangle, you can start to play with how things are actually cutting into something, and that is what Escher was developing, which was based off of other previous versions. But then lately I've become obsessed with how puzzles used to be designed before, cardboard. And they were always line cut, and there was they're working so specifically with the image. Like the first wood puzzle, the first puzzle in general, was actually a map. It's a map of Europe to teach children geography.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so now most of my puzzles are really working with the image to break it up such that Songbirds was in the video, which is the one that has the birds in the leaves. And I'm tracing every little detail in the actual image, and that becomes the head is the piece versus overlaying something else. So that's where that's where I'm always at.
Well, it's interesting how that first puzzle was to teach children geography, and then you had the relationship with the First Nations or your school system to create puzzles, because you are, I can imagine, as a young child, not only are you spending time, just your brain kind of thinking in different ways, but in the same time you're interacting with the art, your own brain, the history, the culture behind this puzzle. It really allows you to think on so many different levels when you are working on a puzzle, because you can't do anything else when you're working on a puzzle, right? That's the beauty of the puzzle. I can't be checking my phone or watching TV or, doing my taxes. I have to be totally focused on that puzzle. And it doesn't matter if it's a Peanuts Snoopy Gang puzzle or one of yours. All of your focus is on that. And so that's tremendous power. And I realize that really is a cool relationship, because in a way you then have someone's attention, and that I have someone's attention for as long as this puzzle takes. That's power. That's a relationship. That's the give and take. And I just realized, wow, that is such a personal way of looking at puzzles, because everyone chime in. Who loves puzzles? I love puzzles. In fact,
everyone knows someone, or they love
Yes, like and I was realizing, okay, December's coming up. We're going to be with our family for a while. January, February, where are my puzzles? Like, can we bring out some of our old puzzles? Should we get a new puzzle? Like, that becomes because it's just so lovely. It's so lovely when you get to work on a puzzle with people.
The thing I liked about it was that the extra level of sense that you got out of your puzzles because it's made of wood and it's a laser that cuts it, right? It actually smelled like smoke.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
There was this kind of smoky smell when I opened the box. Like, this is a legit thing.
This is a legit puzzle. Oh my gosh.
Like nostalgic.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It's nostalgic,
Mm-hmm.
right? The idea of the campfire is something that everyone who's been camping as a child knows.
Yeah.
Like it has that. It speaks to that kind of primal, kind of childlike quality.
I always love doing a puzzle with my kids because I know then they'll start to talk to me, right? Like if I ask them a question point blank, like how's school? You'll never get a straight answer. But if we sit down at a puzzle and all we're doing is focusing on the puzzle, all of a sudden, they'll be like, well, and they'll start to talk. People start to reveal things as you're working on a puzzle. There's just so many ways that it just allows us to be more human, right? Working on this piece either alone or together, it really is mental health. I mean, in a box, I would say.
It's like a meditation,
Yeah, yeah.
You're focused on, the task at hand, but that also causes problems in terms of when I start to remove expectations.
Do people study your puzzles, right? So you're like they know your work because you are an artist as well, and so they begin to understand your artwork. And like you say, then maybe you change it, and then that's when they get upset. So people have expectations of your artistry,
but they also don't like when things are removed that they were expecting, right?
Yeah.
So the one puzzle that I was showing you, the one that can rotate, right?
Yeah.
That was actually designed specifically for one person. She complained on the internet about how she thought our puzzles were too easy. And
too easy?
Yeah. And so I rage designed the heart to muster up. And I thought it was impossible. And she would buy it because she's really into solving puzzles. And she couldn't solve it.
Oh, wow.
Our friend Cindy had a question for you. How long does it take to create a puzzle from idea to end product?
It depends. Sometimes it can be a month. Sometimes it can be 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sometimes I work directly with the artist, and it can take 3 months to have kind of an initial spark of an idea, and then work with the artist to actually create the art piece as well. So they work perfectly together.
Are you still, I'd love to hear kind of what's happened since we were there. It's been a year and a bit now.
Yeah.
But are you still printing them yourselves on your own equipment, or do you send them out now, or how does that work?
No, we like to maintain quality control. So everything is done in-house. In fact, more is being done in-house now. I just bought another printer, another laser cutter. We expanded to 10 people. And what most people don't know, because we haven't revealed it yet, is we leased a very large storefront on Government Street that's close to Trans Alleyway, and we're moving the store to be like 3 times the size.
Wow. Fantastic.
Will that also be where a factory too, or will you make them out somewhere else too? So it's just a showroom?
That's just our flagship store.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's wild, actually.
And just so obviously it's too late now for Christmas for to get puzzles delivered from Canada, but you do ship to the United States, right?
I probably ship 80% of my puzzles to the US.
Wow. Okay.
Probably send
and-
maybe 20 to 30 puzzles a day.
And what
to the
I
US.
think I always tell people, like, because I'm so bad at getting gifts during Christmas because it just comes so fast. So I love giving gifts on Valentine's Day. That's usually my gift giving day, and nothing says I love you than a red chili pepper 5 on your scale. Can you do your puzzles? Is that one of the criteria? Can you?
I spend so much time looking at them that the last thing I want to do is come home and do one. So
I get it.
A whole network of people that I just like, hey, you want to try this crazy thing out and see what you think? And then I get feedback that way because I spend all day looking at
of course.
broken art.
So when I chatted with Tinker earlier today, she said that whenever our show's air, you get orders. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I know exactly when it airs because I will have a spike of like between 300 and 500 people out of nowhere.
Nice.
And they're very specific locations too. It'll like be just Chicago, or, and then I'll just like suddenly have like a random spike in the like a random day of the week where it's like I don't have the capacity right now because I'm not in the Christmas season, the summer season, and then it's just like September whatever, and then it's like go make 100 puzzles out of nowhere. Okay?
So in that case, if you know the audience of ours, what kind of puzzles does the Samantha Brown Places to Love audience like to buy?
1 chili pepper, 2 chili peppers?
It's all over the board. There's no consistency with like your viewers are 1 for 5 or it's whatever piece is speaking to the person.
Nice. Well, we love hearing that because that's such a big goal of ours to always promote, small businesses, independently owned businesses, and yours and Tinka's just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Kevin, I mean, he felt it. He like walked by and was just like
walked and like something stopped me. I was like, can we go back there? I was like, yeah, sure. And it was, and you guys weren't even there. It was just like, this place is cool. It's a really cool place, and you did a great job. Someone mentioned
just how
the way they're displayed. Like I've never seen a puzzle displayed like that before.
Yeah.
It was a wild. It wasn't a shot in the dark. It was a wild, crazy idea to open a store. Everyone was saying, "Don't do that." We're like, why not?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want to have a fun place people can go to and have like, interesting gifts or, souvenirs that are not Chinese made, plastic objects that say Victoria.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so true. I think that's the plus is that it is the ultimate souvenir. It's a beautiful gift to give as well. And just you hope that you could do it so you can put it on your wall too.
Yeah, I get maybe an email every day asking if I can either buy the pieces that are on the wall, or how do I to do it like to have it exactly as it's on the wall.
What?
And
This
so
could-
like that.
This could be another business for you, Andrew. You could hire puzzle doers, and they could make the puzzles and then send them out to people. I like this.
I've actually been asked, hey, can I buy the puzzle but don't take it apart? I was like, what?
So just
That
don't
is
smash
literally
it. Before you smash it.
It's like
That's fantastic.
the whole purpose of a puzzle. Like, no, you're too lazy to put it together, and you just want to have it. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if Dan bought a puzzle, but he said, "How is the mandala number 1 a 1 chili pepper? It's at least 10." I don't even know what that means, but he's got opinions.
That is one of the easiest.
Oh, Dan.
Sorry, Dan. You need to work a little harder, buddy. That's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much
Andrew,
for joining us.
It's great seeing you again. You look great, and we're just so glad to see this is even growing more.
Yeah, it's been really interesting keeping up. Every year, we grow by 30% every year.
Oh
and
my gosh! Wow.
the show's supercharged. It's over, and so it's I just have to keep my. I'm in the middle of the Christmas season right now, so it's very intense.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
We should let you go.
Yeah, we should let you go. But before we go, Dan, who's a good friend of ours,
he's on the website.
He's on your website,
so you'll be sending something to New York State very soon. And I'm sure it's a 1 chili pepper.
Yeah.
Don't let him order anything over 2.
You should think about fractional chili peppers, maybe for Dan's sake.
I'll switch out
We need banana peppers.
I'll switch out his puzzle and give him something harder without his. And so he's just simply have a 5 and be like, oh.
I love it.
That's great.
The mad scientist lives on.
And you can find Andrew and his products at Puzzle Lab at puzzle-lab.com. Thank you so much, Andrew. And it was great seeing Tinka earlier today. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, we could have made that scene 10 minutes. There's so much we talked about while we were there. And, it's just one of those jewels of a scene where... the creators of the business, you were rooting for them, right?
Yeah.
And then every step of the product that they sold is just the top of the line. Integrity, materials, the mission, just everything is there. So
and the interesting thing is that besides the artwork, I mean, that really could be anywhere. It was just... It happened to be in that place that product made the most sense and resonated. Resonation is an important thing of what we do. Some things don't resonate, and some things do.
Yeah,
and it's that just walking by there resonated enough for me to go in there, and it just layer after layer just got us to where we were. And it's so great to hear that the people that watch our show, ultimately go and buy puzzles and enjoy them, and that's great for us to hear.
Dan, nothing says I hate you than some of these puzzles, as beautiful as they are. It's true.
Dan's got puzzle opinions.
We realize that's Dan's Achilles heel.
Wow.
Puzzles.
Man.
There we go.
Theater and puzzles.
Okay. Thank you so much. Another great live has come and gone. And next week, are you showing my mom right now?
Not yet. I'm about to, though.
Know. Okay. Next week, a very, very special episode. Next week, on a very special episode of Places to Love.
On a very special episode.
Samantha Brown goes home. I go back home to New Hampshire. And my mom makes a special appearance as well. And it's a phenomenal episode, and I got to see parts of New Hampshire, or not parts. Parts I know, but again, places that I never really thought two thoughts about, and going there was just amazed. So it's a state that still amazes me.
Yeah,
and I was really happy to go back.
I'm fortunate. I'm married in New Hampshire. I'm a Maryland kid. But I love going up there, and the seacoast is a very special place. It's a short seacoast. There's not a lot there.
11 miles.
It's 11 miles. But it's a really special place, and I love our episode we did there.
Yeah, it's a great episode.
And so that'll be next Thursday at 9:00, and that'll be right after Christmas on the 26th on Boxing Day. And look forward to seeing everyone then, and certainly have a happy holiday.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody have a happy holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of them. We just wish you happy holidays if you're gathering with your friends. It's just a really nice time of the year. I know everyone's kind of taking a break. We're all trying to get our work done so we can just have the week to ourselves. So hopefully you get to enjoy a nice restful week. David has to work.
He's got to keep working.
That's not true.
Thanks, everyone.
There. See you next
Happy holidays.